الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد. In the beginning, it is a practice to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So before we start the text, we just read this dua. Say after me, ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح. So, oh Lord, oh my Lord, make it easy and do not make it difficult, and complete it in goodness, so that we have managed to complete the text. And with you we seek help. We seek help from you. Oh Fattah, Fattah is the one who opens up. So oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make it easy for us, open it up for us. Ya Fattah, ya. So the most important thing with regards to the act of worship is this purification, because which is a prerequisite. And we always talk about, as we see in the books of the water. What is water? What constitutes water? Sometimes there are certain misnomers, things which are called water, but they're not actually considered water. When the water is not purifying, is it purifying? Is it not just now? Is it okay? How much? How do we know? So the ruling related to water. So understand the nature of water per se. So water has a quality and it has a nature. So looks like that, this is something that you use day in, day out. Not have thought about that, but you know it. It's all straightforward. Its nature is riqqa and saylan. Means its nature is that it is thin. By nature, it is liquid, thin liquid, not thick. And saylan means it has flowing ability. It always flows wherever it finds its way. Those are the two essential integral points related to water. This is how you identify water. And it should have three qualities generally. A ra'iha, smell, has a smell. Water has its own smell. It has ta'am, taste, a specific taste. And it has a color. Okay, so all three, the lawn. So all three are the attributes or specific adjectives related to water. So remember, this is what would decide what is water and what is not. So what are the sources? Many sources, and we know them. The rainwater, it could be seawater, river water, well water, water from the melted ice, melted hail, and the spring water. So we can get water from any of those sources. So with regards to the qualification and qualities, and from fiqh point of view, there are 5 categories. A water could be mutlaq. Mutlaq water that has all the qualities. It has the purification and ability to purify. It has ability to purify something else. A thing can be pure, yet it cannot purify something else. That's a different type of water, which is mutlaq. Mutlaq means it is absolute water. A water that is pure itself means you can consume it, and it is purified. It can be used to wash the dirt off, and it hasn't got any dislike in it. So that's the first category. Second is pure, purifying, and it has some problem with mildly dislike. It's dislike to use that water, although it is permissible. So this is the second category. There's some ikrah in there. So the mutlaq, tahir, mutahhir, and ghayru makruh. Tahir means something which is pure. Mutahhir, which can purify. And makruh is that it has got some dislike. And we'll cover all of that. Musta'mal, this is third type. Pure water, yet it has been used already once. So what is that musta'mal? What is the water that is musta'mal? And what can we do with this water and what we can't do with this water? And then najas. impure water. What constitutes najasa for that water, like that water to be impure. And finally, a mushtaba, a water which is neither here nor there. It's just somewhere in between. So what is the ruling? If the water has this doubt, what do we do with this water? Now, maybe some of that is sort of not very relevant to us, especially in the Western world. When you have luxury of having water and just open the tap for new water, you just throw. You do not have any containers that you never. Back home, even today, people would have their buckets and pots filled with water. They keep it for days and use it as and when. They have to go back to some reservoir to collect it from the well, from the spring, and then come home. The villages, they do not have access to all of that. So for them, this is still quite relevant. And in future, it will be relevant anyway. So whatever is there is beneficial knowledge, not futile, even if it is not practically related to you today in the West. Okay, because you say, well, why do I need to worry about Mushtaba water? I would just throw it and take the new one. Yes, you can. You can afford that. But should you? Should you? Because water is a responsibility. As Rasulullah said, do not waste water. Even if you are making wudu by the seashore, you're sitting there making wudu with the flowing river or even sea. Don't waste by doing more than 3 times limb washing in your wudu. In your wudu, doing more than 3 is israf, waste of water, not permissible. So by the river, by the sea, yes, because there's responsibility, the sense of responsibility towards everything. If you can afford something that does not give you license to be a spendthrift, you can't be wasteful, think, oh, I can afford, let me throw it and I can have something. Israf is israf, it's sinful. It's not permissible, even if you can afford it. So we need to understand from that angle, inshallah ta'ala, as well. So what is mutlaq water? Mutlaq water is a tahir and mutahhir. That's the word you don't have to remember, but all you need to remember that it is purifying and it is intrinsically pure itself. So it has got this ability to purify something else. You can use it to wash or clean your body, your clothes, something. But it itself is pure and it is not disliked at all. But that's the standard water that you find in the tap that you will find from any of those sources. So generally, they are that. The makruh one has got those 2 properties, plus it is disliked. And what is that? What makes it disliked? That it is a smaller quantity. What we cover, what is a small quantity? It has a specific way of knowing what is a small quantity, what is larger quantity. We come to that in a minute. So you had this in olden days, or even today, you would have that in village, a pot sitting there, and you covered it, yet the domesticated cat came and toppled it over or just drank a little bit from it, and you saw the cat and you just shoot the cat. The water is being drunk by that domesticated cat. So that water becomes disliked to be used. It is permissible to use it. You can do whatever you want to do with that. But likewise, chicken, you hen grazed chicken, your parrot has done something with a small amount of water taken out. It's perfectly fine to consume that water, but there's slight dislike for your wudu, not for drinking. Dislike, mildly dislike, but still usable. Musta'mal. Now, again, this is pure water, but it is not purifying. You can drink it, but you cannot use it to wash your body, which means you cannot use it to do wudu or ghusl. You can't even use it for any of those spiritual, like wudu and ghusl, as they say. So it wouldn't be purifying you. Musta'mal. Musta'mal means something that you have done isti'mal. In Urdu, we say istimal shuda. You have already done the istimal of that. You have already used it. You have used it. So what is that water? It is intrinsically pure, but it cannot purify. And 3 things render it musta'mal, which means that you cannot use it for wudu and ghusl. If used for the sake of attaining reward, you've already used the water, and so I've just put the water from the tap on my face, on my arm and it is dribbling off my body. If I collect it, I cannot use this water to do a second wudu if someone else wanted to use it for wudu. But that is drinkable. That is pure and you can drink it. Perfectly fine. It's pure by necessity, intrinsically pure. So you don't have to wait. Obviously, you would say, why do I have to do it? Now, remember, you could be in a situation where the water is very scarce. The animals are thirsty, and this is the only water you have. So what people would do, they would normally try and keep that water not falling off their body before they collect it in a pot underneath. They don't waste anything because they know the value of that water. Even if they can't use it for wudu, or someone else cannot use. So say the 10 people living together in this tent on their journey, the 70, 100, 300 people on this battlefield. Everyone is using from this big pitcher. Keep collecting that underneath. What do you think would happen? A lot of water to be wasted, which we do, by the way. We don't realize. If you start calculating, if there was one day some sort of mechanism whereby every drop of water that you use for your ghusl, likewise for your wudu, is collected, you'll be ashamed of yourself how much water we waste in our ghusl and wudu. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would use just one glass of water, which is roughly 250 ml, 300 ml maximum, to do his wudu, and a liter for ghusl. It's amazing. 4 muds and 1 mud for this, which is roughly, a quarter of a liter, roughly. And you imagine, how could you do that? And there's scholars even today, and I've practiced that as well, alhamdulillah, very easily. Very easy. You save some. And doing from the pot is another barakah there, which is a sunnah act, mustahab act, to whatever is left in that pot to drink that afterwards. So I know with that tap that we use, we have never done this sunnah. We have never got the ability to fulfill that sunnah action in our life. Why? Because we've changed our lifestyle. But anyway, so yeah, so if once the water has left your body, it will become musta'mal, pure but not purified. So you cannot do the wudu with the same water again. However, yes, another important thing is as soon as if this water, so you may say the water has started traveling from my wrist down to my elbow. So is it getting used one and I'm still doing it? So you understand? The water I've taken in my palm and I've just dropped it on my elbow. So it's going and trickling down my elbow. It has been used now. It is coming down, 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 down. And can I just roll it if I'm clever enough to use the same water coming the other way, all the way up and down, and keep rubbing it like that? So I'm utilizing the same amount of water to just go all the different sides. Is it musta'mal water that I'm using? No, it is not musta'mal. Musta'mal, the definition is when it leaves your body. So if I carry on like this and continue to roll like this, that's not musta'mal. You can continue to juggle with that water. The minute it leaves your body, it becomes. So what about that water falling on your clothes? It happens a lot, isn't it? We keep doing wudu and it's splashing from my beard, from everywhere on the clothes. It's used water. Is any problem? Why is there no problem with that? Because this is pure, intrinsically pure. It's not impure. You can even drink it. You can use it to wash something, that's why. But you cannot do wudu with that. You cannot use it for ghusl. Okay? That's the difference. Another way of making water a bucket like this, if you have been sexually defiled and you put your hand, so you shouldn't be touching that water with your hand. Important for people who use bucket for ghusl. Don't dip your hand while you're taking your ghusl. Just use the side, take it out, Don't insert your hands inside the bucket.
The hand is pure, but
So no, but you are sexually defiled, isn't it? You can't be pak. You can never be pak when you are sexually defiled. So you're physically pure. You've washed your hands, it's nice and clean, but you are not spiritually clean. So avoid that. Just to avoid the difference of opinion. There's some difference of opinion on that. Okay. All of that is provided you have got other means of extracting water. Obviously, you have to know you are traveling, and that's the only way to take water from wherever. Put your hand in, then you can do it. Okay, that's why there's difference of opinion. Can we? So if you can. So then the best thing would be to, as you said, take some of the water, wash it first, and then second time. Okay. Now, the water that cannot be used for purification, they are called water sometimes. In Arabic, the fruit water. But that's luckily in English we don't say water. We don't say it's apple water. It's actually juice, you call it. So in Arabic and in many other languages they call it water. नारियल का पानी पी रहे हैं. नारियल का पानी कभी भी. That's a juice, isn't it? So we call pani. So many fruits pani. Pani means water, but that's not pani actually. So they cannot be used. Now there is. I highlighted that even for those people who might have learned in some of the senior, relatively better texts or next stage or next level texts, because some scholars, Imam Zaili'i, for example, in Nazb al-Raya, and Imam Marghinani in Hidayah, they would say, if the water comes from the fruit on its own, the juice dribbling, you haven't squeezed it, then you can use it for food. That's their opinion, but we don't take that. We don't take that opinion, okay? Although the Hanafi Imams, but their opinion has been discarded. You can't use any water. They're pure. That water is pure. That juice is pure, but you can't use it for purification, for wudu and for ghusl. Likewise, a water that you have cooked so long that it has lost its nature. And what is the nature of water? Two things: the riqqah and saylan, flowing nature, and the thinness. So you put some, lentils in it and it becomes dal. Like, very patli pani wali dal, you can't use it. There's no more water. Okay? If it lost its two qualities, it's gone. And likewise, another thing is the ghalaba. It is mixed with something that has dominated the qualities of the water. So remember that the qualities of the water, one is the nature. We know for nature, if the nature changes, out. Qualities, what about qualities? Do we have to have all the qualities of the water to use it for purification? Out of three qualities, was the color, taste, and smell. We look at that. So if the liquid or the solid that you put in that water dominates, then how do we know what dominates? That's what we're going to look at next. It's called ghalaba. Ghalaba means to overwhelm, to dominate. So when water is mixed with a solid substance, the ghalaba will occur when the water loses its thinness and saylan. And thus such water no longer remains valid and fit for wudu. You got it? So when it is mixed with solid substance like saffron. Saffron is solid. Fruit, any fruit they put inside. Or the leaf of a tree. Like, sometimes they put water and then on top of that there is mint leaf. Tastes nice. If you put that in there, but it does not change. The water remain very thin. You put some leaves of water, it's not going to change anything, would it? That water is fine. It is, although it's solid, but it hasn't changed the thinness or the flowing nature of the water. So easy. So look at that. Water mixed with solid. If the nature, thinness, and the liquidity change, no. If it hasn't, then it continues to be good for use of, for purification, like wudu. Even if it loses qualities, which is smell, taste, and color. And if it loses its ability to, like, the thinness and the flowing nature, then what? Like you put some sugar in it, it becomes syrup, thick. It lost its watery nature. It became less flowy. We've changed it. Yes, it's not thin and it's not flowing as much. But then, although it's still flowing, so from that count, it may still be okay, but you can't use it for purification. It remains pure, but it cannot be purified. Yes, is that clear? Yes.
When you do Jannah,
they put berry. Yeah. Low tree, exactly. This is what they do. Mint here, but for the just to make it nice for the body, because when you're washing, because they don't. Well, in olden days they didn't have the soap, so rather than using soap, they would put this low tree leaves. It has the property of purification, like cleaning a bit better. Get the dirt rubbed off the body. They used to use that for people who passed away, and that has been the sunnah from the Sahaba time onwards. So it is good to do something of that sort. So yeah, that remains fine. That remains. Why? Because solid, number one, it doesn't change the riqqa and saylan of the water. Okay to do it. A very good question. So that's the observation. When you see it, then you know, isn't it? So likewise, yes, this jug is perfectly fine. What about liquid? So if you put liquid, it depends on the qualities of the liquid that you haven't put in the, or you've mixed the water with. So it may have two qualities, it may have three qualities, it may have no qualities. Liquid generally have two, three, or no qualities. Like they're tasteless or whatever. So we come to that. So what if it has two qualities? Then it's 50-50, isn't it? If one of the qualities dominated in the water, so I give you an example of that. Milk. Milk has two qualities. It has taste and it has color. If you put that in the normal water, provided that glass of water remain white or the taste remains the same, then it's fine. One or the other. If one dominates, then you know the water cannot be used. So a drop of water, a glass of water with a drop of milk, 2 drops, 3 drops, it's still the same. You can use it. You can use it to purify as well for wudu. Okay. What if it has 3 qualities? Like vinegar. Vinegar has 3 qualities. Then it has to have 2 qualities dominating the water before it becomes sort of non-purifying. غير مطهر. Okay. And if it has no quality, and that will be normally the water, used water, or how much of that used water quantity wise. So you just judge with regards to the value, how much has gone in. So if 2 liters of used water is mixed with 1 liter of pure water, what is more? The used water. So you can't use that water again. So you did the wudu and there's some water left there and no one knew about that. Because we use bucket in our house, it's quite common. You just go there, you think that you have put the water for your ghusl, and someone else has already come because you waited doing something else for half an hour, doing some paperwork, and by the time you come, water look more or less, and you ask, has someone used? Yeah, yes, that was the used water because someone then used the shower. So they mix that, their bodily water going in that. Now this bucket is still full, but you wouldn't know how much of the used water gone in it. That becomes non-purifying. You understand that? So easily understood. If there was none, it means there hasn't been any quality for that liquid judge according to the amount. So rose water without smell, for example, or used water, the quantity would dictate how much. So the rose water has a smell. If it's been sitting there for a long time, it loses its smell. So that is a colorless, tasteless, smellless liquid. How much of that gets mixed with the water? So your glass of water, if it's more, then you can't use it for wudu. Milk I just mentioned, and likewise vinegar. There could be a few other examples as well. Is that clear? Easy. But alhamdulillah, we tend to not need these things these days. Why? Because we've got alhamdulillah luxury of having access to a lot more water. Share the next slides. Question. So salt dissolved in water. So if it's like changing its consistency or its fluidity, then it's a problem. Otherwise, it's fine.
Some countries recycle water, which includes wastewater from the thing as well.
That's a problem, isn't it? So recycling the water, a lot of that happens. People just don't know unless they've done a proper, either distillation or a proper process. One needs to know ideally, and that becomes a big problem. And so the situation, if you don't know, you leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How they do it here, like actually use the sewage water and then distill it or do whatever and send back to you to use. Allah knows what they do. But inshallah, we hope that they're leaving us with some leeway there.
They currently also use, like, while in the sea, they use that water, that sea water.
That's fine. Yes, but that's good. Desalination, that's fine. Saline water is fine as well. It's still water and it doesn't change any of this thing other than the taste. So, and it's a solid. So if the solid has color and taste, if it's too overwhelming, then so the question would be, what about the sea water? Is that pure? Sea water is salty. What do you think? So the solid which is mixed in the salt in the sea has a color. Salt has a color, white color. We haven't got that color there. It has a taste as well. So 50-50. Salt change the taste. So that ideally should be impure. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically gave the advice and the allowance. Why? Because that was the only option. Sea water. There was no distillation plant, no desalination plants then. Sahaba specifically asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what about the sea animals that we get? Are they pure? Can we just go? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it's all pure.
There are countries in like Southeast Asian countries where they have big wells,
Yes.
villages.
And they're salty sometimes.
No, that water is stagnant. So, but they use that water for bathing, for
yes, that would come handy. The next discussion about what makes the water impure that you can't use. Yes, well water is very important. There'll be a separate discussion on well as well. But here, for the purification wise, that is coming. So with regards to sea water, it's perfectly fine. Even because that's number one, natural mixing the salt. We haven't done anything. We haven't mixed it. Number one. Second, there is specific hadith to provide allowance for that. And the reason was it would be a big problem. How else would you get water? You normally get it from the sea or river, and that can be very salty. So there's nothing wrong with that. What is small water? Small water or the stagnant water, that's a problem. Any najasa in the stagnant water, and if it is small water, even a drop of najasa, a small amount of blood, small amount of urine, it will just nullify and impure, cause your all water to be wasted. And that's a big problem. So what is small? What is the quantity? So there's, different ways Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam use qullatain, the word, and there's a lot of discussion in fiqh, but we leave that for the advanced student. At this point, you just need to know 10 cubit by 10 cubit, 10 cubit by 10 cubits. That's fine. Okay, so that work out to be this 225 square feet, or to about 21 square meter. Okay, that's the width and the length times this. Just time it like this. Then it's fine. So with regards to depth, they say deep enough that if you were to move this water from this end, you shouldn't be seeing the base. Deep enough. Okay. That is fine. That water is a big water. So normally our swimming pools are big enough. They are more than 10 cubit, or cubited about this much, isn't it? The 10 would be in about this size, this room size. The swimming pools are bigger than this. So their water is pure, easy. That makes life easy, isn't it? So if this is the size, and anything bigger than that, that is large water. Anything smaller than that is small water, little water. So if there was any najasa fell in that, there's a problem. That water is impure. Okay. So a small quantity of water reservoir will be regarded impure if najasa falls into it, even though the signs of the najasa are not visible. You don't have to worry about the color, taste, and smell. That color, taste, and smell is only valid option for large water. So if you have large water in the swimming pool, the color or the taste or the smell of that gets changed due to the najasa falling in it, then that would render it impure. Okay. Okay. So generally you have two types of impurity. Mar'i means which is something that you can see, tangible. You can see it. And ghayru mar'i, that you can't see. Najasa, which you can see, najasa, which you can't see. So mar'iyah or ghayru mar'iyah. If you, for example, droppings, you can see that. Urine, if it's mixed, you can't see it. Liquid in such a way that you water liquid, unless it's done in front of you, you wouldn't know that water is urine or water. In a sense that you cannot, if it's mixed with water, how would you know? Can you see separately from the water? Obviously not. So that's why it's not. It hasn't got a body that we can very easily decipher what is what. Not separated. So we'll come to that. Washing the impurity out. So when it is tangible that you can look at, you have to remove it. You have to remove it. However many times you need to wash. You found a blood drop on your clothes, on your hand, you have to just wash it. One time doesn't matter. However many times till you get it all cleared, you have to wash it that many times.
The color has to be.
It has to be, yes. The substance must leave. Now, sometimes the stain stays. That's not a problem. For example, you've got some blood on the clothing, you washed it so that the blood is gone. But you see that there's possible small stain left. That's fine. Stain is not, obviously nowadays you use soap, we just clear it. But without soap, while you're traveling, if the stain is there, no problem. As long as the body is gone of that blood. This can be achieved through however many times you need to wash it. Now, what about the washing machine? Obviously, there's a difference of opinion. Is washing machine good enough? as a purifying thing. So, excuse me. Because the idea is that you remove the impurity and then squeeze it tight and do it 3 times if you cannot see the impurity. So you put the clothes inside the washing machine. It is the same water, keep running like this. But it does, for one, there's enough water to squeeze it tight. And most machines do it twice. That the water, initially it goes out after it's done whatever it has done. And then the second lot comes, that is purifying it. It does it so vigorously that most scholars would say it's okay to use it. It has done the job. But since there's difference of opinion, hence the advice is that one should wash that impurity off the clothes, wash it, and then the sperms, wash it, and then that bit, and then throw in the washing machine. So it does not transmit that impurity to all the clothes. In itself, it's a single piece of cloth which has the impurity. You put in the washing machine, there's no doubt about that. That is much more. The problem is the 20 other clothes that you mix with. So little impurity going in all of those. And that is where the scholars would say, you know what, it doesn't look like it has done the job. Maybe there's some possibility of some impurity left somewhere because it's small water. Even a drop would be enough. So just to be honest, again. Yeah. But as I said, even the single wash, proper wash, with 2 water coming in and out, and the first one being rinsed after the soap, and then the second one coming in, that should suffice. You don't have to go overboard. That's the safest.
What if you've got semen on the floor and probably still wet or sometimes it's dry?
Yeah.
Can you have to wash complete garment or we just?
So for the garment, you can just wash that bit. Yes, only that bit, not all of it.
And if it's dry,
you can just scrape it. Yeah.
And then
it becomes pure. Very good. Yeah. The dried sperm on the body or on the cloth, you can just remove by scraping it. Okay. But obviously, if it's wet, then. However, many a times we are not too sure that the way our clothes are. Sometimes we're not sure. It looks like it's hair only, and it's dried, but you don't know whether there's something there as well. Because the way our clothes are, it is easily transmissible. Now, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, clothes were not as fine, as thin, as delicate in a sense. They were more coarse, and whatever is stuck, and they were stronger people relatively, and the sperms were not more liquidy. In the modern time, it has become much more liquidy and fluidy due to the weakness in many artificial stuff, whatever is the cause. So, and then the dry area, obviously, that makes a little bit difference as well. So it is okay as long as you are satisfied that this is it. I've done it and it's all gone. But when you look at that and you try, you feel like, is it really? Maybe there's something left. So that is why you try to then wash it. So I would suggest that just don't depend on the scraping. Do the scraping to follow the sunnah of Sayyidah Aisha. She said, I would normally scrape from the clothes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam if he had any dried sperm on that. Just to give us the easy leeway. Remember, it is for whole ummah. If you cannot understand, and if you're not wise enough to know the timing, then you say, why do they have to do it? Why can't they just wash it? Yeah, they can't. There was no water available. It was difficult. Nighttime, you have to do fajr. You have to go out to collect it from the well somewhere. So it's not easy access to the water. And obviously Sahaba and the Ummah as a whole. So arid zones, the deserted places, traveling, all of that needs to take into consideration. Then you would say, they have enough reasons for that. But we don't need it. So do it to fulfill the sunnah maybe once or twice, but try to wash. If you wash it, it's better, because it's very difficult to be certain that you've cleaned it all. So, as I said, the advice generally is you wash it and then put it in the bin. What about the swimming pool? Put in the machine and then wash it afterwards. Like, take the impurity out separately in that area, and then the issue with swimming pool be what? Is it big enough? So this is big. So generally, swimming pools are big. Unless you've got your home swimming pool, which is a small one, small pond, that's a different matter. If it's big, which it normally is, then it's safe, it's fine. So a large area, a large water can only become impure if it changes its taste, smell, and color. So it would only become impure once the color, taste, or smell of the water changes. Any one of these, that changes, that water is impure now. Which means there's so much filth added to the water, it has rendered that one of the qualities of the water been changed. Sayyida?
So in swimming pool, they add that chlorine.
So the next point would be, what about the chlorine? So chlorine is a liquid, yes. Chlorine is a liquid, and it has color, it has smell and taste. So normally, when you have that mixed in the water, you get the smell. Do you get the taste as well? Perhaps you do. So that was the question I raised to some of our teachers. And so that is why they suggested it is preferable to come out and wash your body. Wash your body of that chlorinated thing. Then the smell remains on your body, not a problem, as long as the liquid has been washed out. Because that water, despite it being big, it has changed its color. It hasn't changed its color, but it has changed its taste and smell. It's quite strong smell of chlorine that you get. So it's better to, well, it is advisable to then wash your body so that you have some sort of cleanliness. Now, some scholars would say this is not, it is specifically used to purify. It's like a soap. It's like a soap. And on top of that, you have not used this water. You have not used this water to do wudu or ghusl anyway. So you have added, it's like adding that low tree as a soap. So for that reason, they say it should be okay. But as I said, it's safer to wash your body after swimming pool, just before your next prayer, so that you're clean and nice. Means you feel that you're okay with that water. It is preferable. Inshallah ta'ala, if you haven't done that, as many a time you just can't remember, many a time you just forget, you don't get the chance to do so. Inshallah ta'ala, will be all okay. But it's a good point. Just put that question in the group as well, so that I could see whether there has been some change. It was about a few years back when we discussed. It'd be good to just see what is the current saying on that. So I would do some homework on that and come back, inshallah ta'ala. Can you just check if the slides are going? There's someone raised the point that the slides are not coming. I think it must be coming now because we shared it. I think it's coming, but that might be legacy question. Using chlorine chemicals would not make the water pure. Hence, any person who swims in the impure water would need to clean themselves thereafter. That's the safest position. The method of cleaning the pool would be what we're saying, that you cannot add chlorine to think that impure water would become pure by adding chlorine. Chlorine can kill the germs and everything else, but it would not purify the water if the water was impure in the first place. Understand that? Like sewage water, you cannot put chlorine to make it purified, even if it takes the germs away. The method of cleaning the pool would be to add pure water into the pool until the water begins to overflow. Then it becomes pure. Once the water begins to overflow, the pool would be pure. What about animal dying in the water? If there was no blood flowing in that animal, in snake, in the lizard and stuff like that, they're fine. They do not cause the water to be impure, whether they die inside or outside, regardless. The animals that live in the water, like fish, they do not cause any trouble. Frog, they're dying there inside it, even if they have blood flowing, not a problem, because they're fish, they're water animals. So that was up to the fourth type, najas water. Then doubtful water. What is doubtful water? There's conflicting report about that. There's certain things that suggest it's pure, certain things that suggest it's impure. A donkey or a mule, domesticated donkey, so your own homegrown donkey, has drunk from that water. So is that water pure or what? So there's a difference of opinion on that. If mutlaq water is not available, then this doubtful water is completely fine. You can use it, but you do tayammum as well. So you do two things. You do wudu with this, and in order to be on the safe side, do your tayammum and then pray. In that order, ideally. Some suggest different order. Some suggest doing tayammum or what? Wudu, pray, tayammum, pray. That's too much hardship. So easy is this: do wudu and do tayammum and then pray. Obviously, you wouldn't need this situation ever. So the idea of mentioning all of that is twofold. Number one, whatever is there in the book, we should just, as a respect, go through the text so that we consider we have read the text, we know what is in the text. Secondly, you never know, the situation might come up at some point, and at that time you would have some recollection. Oh, I read this somewhere, and then you remember the only text I went through was Nur Ul Idaah. Let me try if it's there, and then you can verify. Or you come to a situation where someone raised this point. I heard about it. I don't know what it was, but there was something on these lines. That is what would trigger you to go and ask the scholar. Because if you don't know what you don't know, you're completely blinded by that. Throw it away. It could be okay. I'm just going to do wudu and I'll be fine. No, here you would realize that, you know what, I think there was something about that doubtful water. Let me clarify with the Mufti. So just to have that unknown zone open up to you so that you can go and ask inshallah. As I just recalled that some years ago, 6, 7 years, maybe 10 years ago, that we discussed this chlorine thing, just occurred to me that I haven't refreshed it with anyone. So see, if I didn't have that done, I wouldn't have thought, oh, no. I would just go and check it again. So this is how you keep revising. Certain things needs to be revised because the ruling keeps changing. And it doesn't change because the muftis change their mind. Now what happened that they get some more evidence coming from the scientific community, the worldly community. I'll give you a quick example on that. We've got two important topics to cover and then we're done. Inshallah, I might be able to finish by Maghrib all the 2 slides I wanted to cover today. And then we can leave it after Maghrib, inshallah. So early chutti. Always good to have early chutti, isn't it? The issue is this about there was this question people always, they used to say it is haram to do this, now they say it's okay to do it. They change their mind. These muftis always change their mind, and they don't. Remember that the reason is whatever evidence is there, this is their honesty. They get the evidence, based on that they will give you a judgment, and time goes on and they get some new evidence and they change the fatwa. Obviously, if I tell you it was considered haram to do adhan on the mic using microphone or megaphone, anything. If you make adhan, fatwa is it was then when it came the first time. So this is not permissible to call out adhan or iqama or even prayer on the mic. Now every mufti does it. Everyone does it. And they were clear on that is why that was though. Say, oh, see, they changed. No, they haven't changed. It was you, community, you people, the scientific people, the scientists of the time, 100 years back. They mentioned, so because the simple question Mufti asked was, is it when we hear this from the mic, and I say here, is it my sound that is amplified, or is it that the machine takes my sound and changes something and then gives the sound which is machine created sound? This is machine created sound. This is haram to say it because then it's not live. You can't be calling out adhan, it's not live adhan. You can't be reading the recitation of Quran and it is not your sound, it is coming from the machine. So I'm the one reading it, it's the machine doing it for me. That's changed. That's not. So this is haram to do. Obviously, that even today, if you say the science said this is how it is, you will say it's like all your holographic stuff and whatever has been happening. If they say this is machine generated saying, and they've just what they call put on me as a meme or whatever they call now. So my face moving, and yet the recitation is coming from my previous recitation, recorded one. Prayers valid? No, not valid. Invalid. Adhan valid? Not valid. Haram. You can't read prayer like this. Recorded adhan doesn't count. Recorded iqama recitation doesn't count. Things like it looks like that we're going to change again the fatwa. So don't come and say that, oh, you keep changing the fatwa. We don't change. You guys change the science. It's not our problem, like Mufti's problem. They don't give you the ruling. They give you what you tell them. You give them data, they feed it into Sharia tools, and it's haram or halal. Okay. Then they say, oh, it's actually your own voice which machine only amplifies. Oh, that's fine. It's okay then. Let's use it. We use it. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? इसलिए ज़्यादा अल्लामा बनने की ज़रूरत नहीं. Su'ur is leftover water. You had the water, someone drank from it. Can I drink that water? Is it pure, impure, makruh, dislike, or whatnot? So, when human or animal drinks from a small quantity of water, the remaining water is then known as su. Not huge quantities, again, 10 by 10 cubit. That's not talking about that. It's smaller than that bucket, glass, pitcher, cup. So if animal or human being, anyone drank from it, the leftover, this is su. This is my su. Leftover water from me in the bottle. What is the ruling of that? 4 types. Tahir, mutahir, ghair mutahhir, same thing. Pure, purifying, and not disliked, which is this one. Leftover from human being, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, whether they are sexually defiled or completely fine and nice, clean people. People, ladies on their special days, doesn't matter. Okay. It's perfectly fine to consume that water. So many people are, oh, can I use the cup? I had a friend who came to my house and we had a cup of tea together. He used that cup. Can I use that cup? Yes, you can actually use from where he drank, even if there was some saliva left. Saliva is pure. Understand that? Nowadays, what they have done, everything becomes so crazy. You touch anything, your son said, I'm not going to drink water from this. Germs. So mom, dad, no one can share anything. SubhanAllah. It is perfectly fine. In fact, there's a lot of love created through that.
Can you do wudu with that?
You can use wudu with yes, perfectly fine. Pure, even for, as I said, non-Muslim, Muslim, pure, impure, practicing, non-practicing, everyone's water is completely pure and fine. Obviously, there will be a situation where it will be wrong, which is someone completely drunk, spilling the alcohol from the side, and then he drinks, obviously. Then there's high chance that he has got that alcohol mixed in that. or someone just had pork and he's just walking and then, can I have a glass of water? You use that leftover water is not okay, because how much he has done in and how much out, who knows? So just be careful. But that's exception. That doesn't happen normally.
So even if it is not pork, they will have eaten haram.
Yeah, any haram stuff they would have. But you suspecting that doesn't count. You should know, and it is clear that they're just finishing that, and then they come to you. They like this sort of thing, so you know. They had it and they've come here. The 3, 4, 5 rounds of saliva inside the mouth. It is purified. The saliva is pure. So you had it, you walked 10, 15 minutes later to your house. All that is clean now. They drank whatever they drank on. It's all nice and clean. Perfectly fine. If it's dribbling, that obviously is a different thing. Even horse drank from it, and it's perfectly fine. Animals whose meat is lawful, domesticated goat came. Say the Aisha radiallahu anha, she had the goat, like a small lamb. The lamb would come, and sometimes, if she's not careful, she was young, obviously, very small girl, she would not cover the dough properly. So the goat would come and take some of that. And then Barira, she was a slave in the house. She would just go and get out, snatch from the goat. And this is what she said when Sayyidah Aisha was slandered by the hypocrites. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam inquired from all the people who were closely associated with Aisha. So Barira being the closest, she was the maid in the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Aisha. So Aisha's maid. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "What do you think? Do you think Aisha has any problem with her character? Has she got any trouble? Have you ever noticed, experienced anything that might make you suspicious of Aisha? They're slandering her of adultery, na'udhu billah." So she knew it, that this is the rumor going on. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked her, "Barira, what do you think?" So now that she is testifying that there's a lot of adab and lessons to be learned. So Barira said, what did she say? "Oh, no. Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have not found anything to make me suspect. I have no problem with her. Extremely pure, nice, modest, good girl. I have one problem with her. She doesn't cover the dough properly, and the lamb comes and takes some of it. And I'm very unhappy about that. But that's what she does. That's it." That was the only charge she had, a complaint she had about Sayyidah Aisha. Like, she's a young girl, she doesn't look after the dough properly. That's my concern. Such is the purity of this lady. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praised her in Quran. Anyway. One important point from the human being, that if you have any inclination towards an individual, sometimes people have this tendency, a lady who may be your relative, but not your wife, other than your wife, and you think that she drank from it, and you have some, lustful attachment to her. People can have that. To drink from that is disliked generally, because you do not want to cause yourself any stir. Okay, don't go and take water from that. Leave it. Because people start thinking, oh, imagination. So Shaitan would make that imagination working against you spiritually. And you can see how she just drank from it. Look at your lips are on where she had her lips on. Keep thinking about that. So it will make very much like a love story type, fantasizing and tantalizing. I don't know, whatever. All wrong. Spiritually, it would cause trouble. So what that highlights, anything that would lead you to fascinations like this or fantasies, don't go there. Don't go there. Avoid such avenues. And that is why even shaking hands with people that you think, it may cause me stir, don't do that. Even if they're your mahram, even if they're, sometimes you have these tendencies against young boys. Don't do that. Don't keep patting on their head and on their back, thinking that, and feeling inside. If you feel that, stop them. Because there's a lot of media created, artificial, sensationalizing these things. So people get involved, get affected by that. So don't do that. Stay away. Keep the distance. So the second su'ur, which is leftover water, is impure water, and its usage is haram, obviously. And this is the water from which the dog or the swine has drunk from. Any predatory animal. Imam Shafi said only dog and swine's leftover is impure. Other predators, they're okay. Unless you see them, their saliva pure, for them is pure. Imam Malik has even dog saliva is pure. Okay. That is why they allow keeping dog indoors. But they have got their evidences for whatever. But that is not the mainstream three schools' opinion, because there are many reports to suggest otherwise. But they have got their explanation as well, but don't have it. The third one is makruh. The leftover is makruh. And it is makruh while the pure water is available. Then it's makruh. A domesticated cat. Yes, domesticated cat. The cat leftover should be impure by default. This cat is a predator. It goes out and hunt animal and has all the funny bits. So it shouldn't be allowed at all. But Rasulullah ﷺ gave special dispensation for cats, saying that they are tawafun wa tawafat. They just go and do tawaf in your house all the time. You won't be able to save your food. It will be very much of a hardship if you make it that you can't use it. So he allowed people. So if you have alternative pure water, then don't use that water. It's just like, but again, it's still okay. You can use it. For poor and those who do not have any other water, then it's perfectly fine. But wild cat is impure. It's talking about domesticated. That's why I put that in bracket. Cat here means domesticated cat, where you know that they do not keep going hunting here and there. They may have done, but normally they are fed by us, our leftovers. Yeah, unlike the cat which is stray here and there. Their leftover water is, if they had a portion, then it's gone. Likewise, hawk, falcon, and kite is makruh. Again, because they have got this blood and food and meat from other dead animal here and there. If that bird, hawk, likewise a falcon, indoors, domesticated, like it's your pet, and you know what you fed them, you've been feeding them nice pizzas and burgers and steaks, and then it's not impure, that they're not going for anything haram. They're not, hunting and forcing themselves to have haram stuff. Then it's fine. Likewise, the rat, they have all those possibilities. And finally, fourth category is mashkuk water, a water which is mushtaba. Mashkuk means there's shak in it. Again, mule or the donkey. Because as we just discussed, if there's no other water, you can use that leftover water. Their saliva is in between. Some reports suggest it's impure, some suggest they're pure. So based on that, it will be this. So if you just have a summary of that, leftover water from human, horse, animal whose meat is lawful or consumption is fine, then the water is tahir, mutahir, pure and purifying. You can use it without any trouble. Leftover from dogs, swine, predators, najis. Leftover from domesticated cat, chicken, and predatory birds, makruh if other water is available. Leftover from mule and donkey, mashkuk if other water is available. Okay, but you can. So that is where you do your wudu and tayammum. Last point. Couple more slides. Yeah.
People have to give suits washing, dry cleaning.
people would have
Right.
dry cleaning clothes, yeah. So dry cleaning wouldn't purify you because the impurity in the clothes should be washed out. And so if the clothes is impure, make sure that you just rinse it properly, get that impurity either scraped out or it's washed, that bit, and then
And
send it.
the clothes are mixed with the other people's clothes. You know, when dry cleaning, they put everything there.
Yeah, so because they do not, I mean, my understanding is they do not use water for washing. If they don't use water, then it's not going to be transmitted. So the impurity is not transmissible to another clothing unless it's wet. It won't be like even if there's something here, even that blood is a little bit fresh. Unless it's very, very fresh, it is highly unlikely that it will be transmissible. It would transmit to another piece of cloth.
So if your clothes or if your urine or something, you wash it at all, and then
And then
dry
go for
clean.
it. Exactly. That's. The tahari is the final concept that we shall cover today. Tahari. Ever heard this word? Means to strive, to exhaust all the avenues, to guesstimate, to find out what could be. So tahari is done for things that you are not sure about, but you want to make sure, can I try as much as possible? Yes. For example, you are in the open and you haven't got your compass on the phone even, and you don't know which way is Qibla. What do? You do tahari. Means you do strive. You work out. Maybe it look like it may be this side because sun is setting there, sunset in the west. So from here, west, no, it should be east. So go 180 degree. And which side is my south? Oh, south is there. So it should be here. Let's just focus that way. So you did it. Maybe you did it completely wrong, but you tried. So you completely prayed in a different direction, 180 degree opposite. But you tried to find out. And that prayer is fine. You do not have to repeat. But you have done it badly.
What if you did it completely wrong and you finished your prayer, someone else afterwards came and told you that you've done it wrong?
If you very good. That's where this principle would come handy. If you did tahajjud, if you tried and did your prayer, then you don't have to repeat your prayer.
Even if someone told you.
Even if you found out afterwards. Obviously, if they told you while you're praying, just turn around at that point, you'll be fine. But if you never did any tahajjud, you just went, Allah, whichever direction I'm lending off my cards, then you have to repeat that prayer. Because you never tried for that. That's the beauty of tahajjud. So tahajjud for purification.
Traveling in a room, they will make an arrow that this side is covered. But that whoever made it, they made it completely wrong. Is
Fine.
that called it tahari? Or?
That's tahajjud. Because you tried to look for that sign. Even if it was completely obvious, you focus that. That's tahajjud. Tahajjud means you tried to find out a direction. You were not blinded and then keep coming, Allahu Akbar. You tried something, then it's fine. When some pure pots of water are mixed with impure pots, which one is which? Like there's some water in this one and some in that one. So the majority are pure, then one is obliged to discern through tahari the pure ones if intending to wudu or drink water. If majority is pure, 2 or 3, then you have to do tahari. So I saw in these 5 containers, I had water, and I saw a dog walking past and was drinking from these, and I could see from distance, and I start rushing, and I know that he only did 2 of those. So 3 are pure. Which 2, I'm not too sure, but if I just think about that, he was standing like this, and he drank, and then he ran this way. More likely that he drank from this one and this one. Just rough estimate. So these 2 excluded, I would do wudu from there, then you're okay. So I have to do that tahari for that. But again, it's not relevant for us when you have plenty of water available, but know this. The majority are impure. Then you're exempted. Then you can just do your whatever. Tayammum and pray. Now, what about the water? You have to drink from the same water you can drink because you do not know which two are fine. 3 are gone, 2 are fine. You just go right? You don't have to worry about that. Then one is exempted from doing this unless one intends to drink water, because as a substitute to wudu, one may perform tayammum. If you wanted to do wudu, then you leave it, you can do tayammum. Or if you want to drink water, then these pots are for drinking, then you have to do tahari, because 3 of these are impure. Just guess these 3 possibly. But those 3 are impure, considered impure, and you can drink from the 2 other which are pure. समझ में आ गया? Problem inshallah practically हमारे लिए नहीं, alhamdulillah. And this last 2 slides, if the pure and impure close like are mixed, then one is required to discern the pure from the impure, regardless whether the majority are pure or impure. Why that is? There's no substitute. What will you do? You have to identify. You've got 3 sets of clothes, and you can't remember, my goodness, which of these I had nocturnal emission in. 2 of them are gone. So I need to figure out. You have to do tahari. This one looks old. This one, I can't see the stain or whatever. Then you just do tahari. You just try to figure out and use the one that you think might have been the clean one, because this is on top of all the others. So then, yes, use that and you'll be fine. If you don't do tahari, then you've done the wrong thing. You have to do tahari for that. So if you summarize it all, there's mutlaq water, which is intrinsically pure, and it is purifying as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, all the water. Makruh is pure and purifying, but it has some dislike. And a small amount of water which cat has parted, it's taken some of. Musta'mal is the water which is used water. It is pure to consume, but cannot be used for wudu. Used water. Najas is impure, you can't use it for anything. If it's a small amount with any impurity, if it's large amount, then it should have changed its color, taste, or smell. Then that water cannot be used. And mashkuk is a doubtful water, where if you have alternate available, go for that. Otherwise, use it and do tayammum as well for prayer, inshallah. And that's
one more.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
If you see like you said before, if you see a half a bottle of water and there is no other water to make a wudu, and are you allowed to use that bottle of water?
There's a bottle with water in it, sitting there. You do not know whose water is that, and as long as you know that property is someone who would not then claim it back, he left it, means it is not owned by someone, because you can't use someone else's property. If it is someone else's property, you have to take their permission. But you know this is for masjid. Like in the masjid, there was a bucket, a small pot with some water in it left. You do not need to think that that's used water, unless there's a reason. Because normally from that bucket, we know people do not put their hand in it to use it. They rather pour it and wash it, do their wudu with that. So just have the idea where you are. And if it's big enough and you saw someone would have jumped in it and did their wudu, then obviously you don't want to use it. جزاك الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.